எனக்கு மலையாளத்தில் சம்சாரிக்கன setting ஆயிட்டில்ல, ஸோ நான் இங்கிலீஷில் சம்சாரிக்கணுண்டோ because it takes 2-3 days set up, and I was speaking in Telugu, I was speaking in Marathi, speaking in Hindi in the last 10 days. So please, I am asking your pardon before I start. So in the south, the advent of BJP coming to power started with Karnataka. Not exactly BJP, but a ruling party which was supported by BJP. If you will recall, the first non-Congress government in Karnataka was a Janata Party government. Chief Minister was Ramakrishna Hegde, and he was supported by BJP. Quite long back. Then BJP started acting important, and he called re-election and came to power on his own. That was the time when BJP got legitimacy in Karnataka. And Mangalore, coastal Karnataka, is the laboratory of Hindutva in the south. The same laboratory branches are going to open here now. You are at the time where we were 30 years back. So I think you will learn from this case history of how it started in Mangalore, and today we are in a stage where even if a Congress government is in power, it is the BJP which controls everything. So I think my presentation of this, what has happened, and it has happened in my lifetime almost, because as a child I remember what was happening, and today in my maybe the last years of my life I am seeing what is happening and how I am a target also. That's a different story. So Mangalore, if you take, we have a population of around 8 lakhs now it should be. It was in 2021, it was 7 lakhs. And a very high HDI, as high as Kerala, probably higher than Kerala. The population is 70% Hindu, 70% Muslim, 30% Christian. 13% Christians. This 30% was the vote bank of Congress at one time. So they were confident. The moment you put up a candidate, 30% votes are going to come. That was, I think, their biggest mistake. Now, language is spoken. Ivide Malayala samsarikkanillangil no other language. Avade anganille. State language is Kannada, which is not the mother tongue of even 3-4% of the population. Tulu is the language of majority. Konkani, most of the Catholics speak Konkani, and then the GSBs. Why I am talking about GSBs is, they are the people who built up Hindutva in the coastal Karnataka. Malayalam is also there. Quite a good number of people Malayalam Samsadikanundu. And there is another language called as Bari Bhasha. Because of these various languages, religions, cultures and groups, Mangalore can be called as a cosmopolitan city. Most of the people are multilingual. But remember, this mixture gave a heady combination for Hindutva forces to step in. First I will show you an ironical photo. This photo you will see when you got out of Mangalore railway station. It was peace-loving, I don't know what is that, conflict-free. The big board was there. Now a tree has grown and you are seeing peace-loving, conflict-free, all cut. So this is the state of Mangalore today. The tree is symbolic of what is happening, and this is what you see when you get out of Mangalore railway station. Many of you go to Mangalore. When I tell you this, please remember to see this when you get out of the station. Yes. How did Hindutva step into Mangalore? For that, the credit or the blame goes to the GSB community. When the Portuguese invaded Goa, these people came and settled all along the west coast. And even in Calicut you will see, Kannur you will see, all Ernakulam, Cochin, Trivandrum, business is dominated by GSPs. And I am not talking about GSPs in the third person, because I was also born into the same community. Why these people did it? You have to think about it. Is it because the people felt Portuguese chasers? The first wave from Goa was the GSBs, who refused to be converted to Roman Catholics. The second wave followed. You will not believe who was the second wave of GSBs. These are converted GSBs. The Roman Catholics were converted by GSBs into Roman Catholic by the Portuguese. They faced something called as Inquisition, so they ran southwards. They too came out of Goa after being converted to Christianity. So, is it the Sanatani nature of the Aryan origin? Because this is what you see in the Hindi belt, particularly what we call as the cow belt. UP, MP, Bihar, Rajasthan. The same mentality is brought to Mangalore, coastal Karnataka. Before Hindutva stepped in, that is RSS stepped in, it was not that everybody was happy and living together, but they were tolerating each other until 1998 was the biggest thing. I will tell you about that later. Lot of intermingling was there. In fact, the GSB business is in Bandar in Mangalore, where buildings and land is owned by Muslims. The GSPs do the trading, the Muslim coolies are working in the shops. The buildings were mostly owned by Muslims. So there was a lot of intermingling. If you take the fisheries business in Mangalore, fishing is a major, so I can call as industry. The fish are caught by Hindus mainly. Wholesale, they are taken by Muslims. The women of the same fishing community buy the fish from the Muslims. The fish their people have caught, which are taken by Muslims in the auction, are bought by the women of the same community from the same Muslims and sold in retail in the markets. Christians have a long history of printing industry. Which Christians I am talking about are the Protestant Christians. You will not believe that the first dictionary of Kannada was made by a Protestant Christian called as Kittan. Printing the first newspaper in Kannada was brought by the same Basil Evangelical Mission missionaries. What we call as Mangalore tiles is brought by Christians. The Roman Catholics, mainly the Society of Jesus, started the educational institutions which are more than 100 years old. So the education was mainly in the hands of the Christians. Now, in the 1940s, Hindutva stepped in. The father of the movement was Sanjeev Kamath. He was a GSP lawyer who went to Nagpur, met Hedgewar, came back to Mangalore and started RSS. Dakshina Kannada was a very fertile ground. Astamatas of Udupi are there, Subramanya temple is there, all different types of Brahmins are there, and your Kerala favorite, Kollur Mukambika temple is also there. There is another place called as Dharmasthala, where the owner of the Hindu temple is a Jain. More about that I'll tell you later. However, the Brahmin community, the Tulu, Kannada, Konkani speaking Brahmins were the first recruits for RSS. This has been written by Chandrasekhar Bhandari. He wrote a book about the RSS in Dakshina Kannada or the state of Karnataka. Why Dakshina Kannada is the state of Karnataka, you will see a little later. So how did they set up the roots? First Shaka of RSS in Mangalore was in a school called as Canara School. This Canara School was founded by a GSB called as Ammembal Subrai Pai. Ammembal Subrai Pai not only started the Canara School, but he also started Canara Bank. The second was in a nearby area called as Pentlandpet, which is one of the first planned layouts in Mangalore, where prosperous GSBs bought the land, built houses and set. Today, it's called as Pratap Nagar, and you can guess where Sangha Niketan is, the headquarters of RSS. It is in same place, what was called as Pentland Pet, named after Lord Pentland, one governor of Madras. The HQ, Nagpur, the big bosses, sent one Anna Shesha as Pracharak, who was introduced by Sanjeev Kamath to one Karkal Sadashiv Rao, who was the superintendent of Canara School Hostel, and where GSBs from outside villages were staying there. So that was the beginning of Hindutva in coastal Karnataka. Nagpur divided Karnataka into 4 parts, 4 regions: Bangalore, Mangalore, Dharwad and Ballari. Bangalore, it did not grow much. Mangalore, it really grew. Today, Dharwad is also one of their centers. And Ballari was a part of Madras Presidency. It was not a part of Karnataka. Even Mangalore was not a part of Karnataka. Mangalore was in Madras Presidency. Yes. So in the preliminary stages when RSS started its shakas, maybe 15, 20, 30 people were there. The leadership as well as membership, both were Brahminical. The GSBs, the Tulu-speaking Brahmins and the Kannada-speaking Brahmins, all of them came together to build up the roots of Hindutva. So it started growing at that time. It grew, and when India got independence, Jan Sangh was started. Though Jan Sangh claims to be a political party independent of RSS, and RSS claim that it is a part, they are independent of politics, both of them grew together. Jan Sangh was totally irrelevant. After independence, in the initial elections, Jan Sangh was totally irrelevant. But they could put up some show because the rich GSPs were there to give them money. The major forces were the Congress, the left and the socialist parties. Even when Congress was defeated, a socialist or a communist was elected. Mangalore had a strong trade union movement and had even communist MLAs. Today you will not believe that, because there is only one MLA in Dakshina Kannada who is Congress, and another MLA who is also Congress, but he is a BJP man who joined Congress in the last election. Rest of the MLAs are all BJP. You will not believe that 50 years, 60 years, 70 years ago, this was the state of affairs. How did it grow? This is what you have to learn today. All the grounds, multi-pronged way, like an octopus, they grew in different directions. Slowly they started hijacking the religious space. Most of the religious rituals in Mangalore, Dakshina Kannada were non-Brahminical. There is something like Dayam, Bhuta worship. It was totally non-Brahminical. They would sacrifice cocks, chicken, and then eat it. There was something called as Darshana Patris who would get the Bhuta. That was called as Bhuta Kola. Slowly, they started infiltrating that. How did they do it? That is again a wonderful tactic. They said all the Bhutas are subservient to one Annappa Deva. Annappa Deva is in Dharmasthala, who is a Gana of Shiva. Shiva is naturally under the control of Shivalli Brahmins who do the worship there. So Bhutas came under control of Annappa, who came under control of Manjunatha, who came under the control of Brahmins in a temple owned by a Jain. And this Jain was with the Congress. Now he is a BJP MP, Virendra Hegde. They brought new rituals. You have to see how this happened. Brahminical rituals, BJP, RSS, Hindutva. All of them grew together. For all the religious functions, there were different color flags. Now you see only saffron flags. How they took over things. And saffron means BJP, RSS. Vote for Hindutva. And even for the things like Bhutakola, they built a temple and then they introduced rituals like Brahma Kalasha, which are conducted by Brahmins. They had Satyanarayana Puja in the morning, and later on in the evening your Bhutakola will happen, where Brahmins will not be seen anywhere. See how they did it. And superiority of that. There was another Naga worship. Into that also these people stepped in. They also took over that. And in fact, in certain areas they are saying there is a Naga ceremony, so nobody should eat fish or meat in that area, because the Naga god will get offended. Imagine the Naga god getting offended when Naga eats only rats and frogs. They brought new rituals, bringing women together. In fact, they have got even into the economic thing, like self-help groups. Dharmasthala self-help group. So there you have to take a oath by Manjunatha that you will repay. They brought some new rituals. Then, helping young men and women. Some people have, ex-people who came out of it, have written how they were trapped into it. The recent release book was by one M.G. Hegde, whom I was opposing because he was ABVP. Today he is the state spokesman for Congress, and he has written a book of how they were brought into the Hindutva fold. He had no money to eat. He came to Udupi to do graduation from a village. Then the RSS took him. Slowly, hostel, lunch, breakfast. Then he joined ABVP as to be expected, became a Hindutva man. He was opposing us, and now he understood what it is. Now he has written a book. In Shakas, by socializing and mixing all the castes, supposed to be, and trying to build up that Hindu identity. Otherwise it was only caste identity. Billava, Bant, Ganiga, GSB, Brahmin, like that. They brought together all these people and tried to build up Hindutva. See how they hijacked the education field. Most of the education institutions in Dakshina Kannada are either government or in the hands of the so-called minorities. But how did they get into that? Teachers, teaching faculty, everywhere they have got their people. Some educational institution wanted to support rationalist activity. But, for example, the Aloysius group of institutions, they said, we'll support you. Within 2 years of having National Science Day there, now they are saying we can't have it. Because the staff members there are all Hindutva lobby people. The large majority of the teachers are from that community. Later on they thought, why we should have others? We will start our own. So now they have started their own. They have got their own institutions. The first group I was talking about, Canada group of institutions, was by default Hindutva because it was owned by GSBs. But later on, these Hindutva groups themselves started education institutions. And even the groups which were secular have now become Hindutva. For example, the college where I was teaching, it has got customers from all over the world. It is owned by the Pi Group of Manipal. Pi Group of Manipal was with Congress. Now it is totally with the Hindutvavadis. I was a member of the Academic Council of Mangalore University long back in the 90s. There we could raise a lot of issues. They had a few representatives, a few elected representatives. I was also an elected representative. But they managed to get their own people into Senate syndicate. Later on they came to power and their appointments. The teachers' bodies were left inclining, but they also became Hindutvavadi. They have their own student union like ABVP, which dictates terms as to what academic discussion should happen in the whole college. In fact, last year, one eminent historian had come from JNU who wanted to talk about freedom movement and the unknowns of the freedom movement. These people, ABVP people, were protesting outside when the meeting was going on inside. They were shouting. They did not even know what it was, but they said, we don't want it here. Anti-national. Next, business. This I already told you. You know very well. Dominance of GSBs. Banking, of course, syndicate bank, Canara Bank, Corporation Bank was founded by a Muslim, but later on it came under the control of GSBs. In fact, one bank started in Mangalore, the Karnataka Bank, had eligibility for shareholders, only Brahmins, that too not all Brahmins, Sahapankti Bhojana Brahmins. Some Brahmins like Sthanika Brahmins, GSBs were not eligible to be shareholders of Karnataka Bank, only Shivalli, Kota and Havyak. To that extent, they had taken over the banking. Like I already told you, Bandar area in Mangalore is a Muslim dominated area, but the shop owners are by and large RSS. And this is the place where the riots used to start. Then it got shifted to Suratkal. I'll tell you about that a little later. Lawyer profession, medical profession, teaching. So all the major things came under their hands. But the laborers are OBCs, Muslims and other castes. Initially, when I was a child, I remember, BJP or its precursor Jansangh was a small fringe party. How did they get the opposition space? Before emergency, it was them and others. But during the emergency, the occupation of the opposition space was mainly in their hands. That is where my association with them started. The first communal riots in Mangalore were 1965. 1992 Babari Masjid kiye gire mein big push. 1998 communal riots were their first milestone, where 10 people died in police firing. 8 of them were Muslims. 2 of them were Hindus. Then came this, flags. Even for the fishing boats, saffron flag came, green flag came, and a few national flag came. Then came 2008 church attacks. They were done by a fringe group which was supposedly against BJP. They said, BJP is not doing enough. We are the real Hindutva people, called as Bajranga Dal. Today, they are hand in glove with them. Number of churches were vandalized. The police beat up the Christians who were in the churches, who had gathered to protest. The leader of the church attacks, Mahendra Kumar, who died recently, he left Hindutva because there are 2 people who claim we did the attacks. One was M.B. Puranik, other was Mahendra Kumar. M.B. Puranik is a Brahmin. He owns education institutions. He is the Vishwa Hindu Parishad man. He was not arrested, but Mahendra Kumar was arrested. That is where he started thinking. Then a commission was appointed by the BJP government, a report was made. The DYSP who beat the protesters committed suicide. Same Hindutva group had a pub attack. Girls were sitting in the pub with boys in the afternoon. This Bajrang Dal attacked them and it became famous all over the world. You know that very well. Then came the homestay attack. But I'll tell you, nothing came out of the pub attack, nothing came out of the homestay attack cases. Nothing, because absolutely no witnesses. Now let's check the strategies. Spread the rumors, you know everything. Have spies everywhere. The buses are managed by a time controller. Every time controller is with Bajrang Dal, and they will observe who are going by the bus. They'll call the people and get their people ready in the next stop or the stop after. This is attack on interreligious couples. You can't even go together. A Hindu and a Muslim cannot go together. Organize events to galvanize Hindus. Take up issues like hijab. Major issue. The man who took up the issue is an MLA in Udupi today. But who are their soldiers? None of these children of these leaders will ever be there. No Brahmin, no GSB will ever have a case put on him. It's always the OBCs who are there. The OBCs are the soldiers. You know the strategies. Bhajana Mandal, religious gathering. Anyone who opposes is anti-national. Yoga bhajana in schools. So-called national festivals. They are even preventing Muslims from putting up stalls when a temple function is happening. Give a communal twist to everything. Beware! They are out to try the same thing here. You may think that they are secular. They will put up a secular face. When I started a consumer organization, they said we can have meetings in Sanganiketan. And I, like a fool, had them there. Then they started. It is our consumer organization. Then I said, no more meetings in Sanganiketan. Even if you are giving hall free, no. Every incident look for a communal angle. Social activities. People's movements will be hijacked by them. Environmental issues they'll take up. But once they come to power, they will not talk about it. They will try to present an alternative. People like Sridharan, great man, Konkan Railway, full of people with honesty and integrity. Last, I was with them. Blood donation camps. We were checking the blood group. Then they said, our blood group donors, our blood group. Consumer organization, our consumer organization. Once land was allotted for a mosque in the harbour area, I filed a petition against that. I started a campaign against that. They said, our campaign. If questions are there, if time allows, because a whole encyclopedia can be written. What I said is not even 1% of what they have done. Okay. I was with them once. And now they consider me as one of the top enemies after 1992. Yeah. Then came the break. Because one with us has gone to the other side. That's why they're very, yeah, please.
Sir, I really want to ask that they really used this progressive space to propagate their Hindutva.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, they will try. For example, I will tell you, when the Shah Banu verdict came, a meeting was arranged in the town hall, Mangalore. And we were the people inviting people. And totally secular.
So, sir, you are really admitting that this Yuktivadis, that this rational people can be trapped or may be trapped with them. They can fly like that.
You have to be careful not to get trapped. You have to walk out.
Okay.
See, they were considering me. See, the opposition space. Main thing is, the opposition space in Karnataka was occupied by them. So to protest, we will go with them. When irregularities were happening in Mangalore University, I was protesting.
So,
ABVP was sitting with us.
So, this was just it's not a question, but just to information that in Kerala, these free thinkers and this Yuktiwadi peoples also has this some type of progressive space which includes them, includes this Hindutva paper.
That is why I am cautioning. Then you will know. Until they reach a certain stage, for example, when I was badly treated by the management of Kasturba Medical College, I filed a case against them. Their rag, which is now has 4 editions, it was a 2-page rag at that time. They carried it in the front page against the Pi group. So I was feeling, I am supported by them, right? It was when they were on the other side. Right. Can you imagine the very man, Virendra Hegde, who was with Indira Gandhi during emergency days, got their own activists imprisoned, today is a BJP MP nominated to the Rajya Sabha.
We really have a space of conversation with, because this Hindutva, this fascism is not an idea for debate. It has to be fight. That was I think like that. So, do you think there is any space of democratic intermingling space there?
Hindutva, absolutely none. Everything is managed by the Sanatanis and manipulated by them. That much I can tell you. How very cleverly, you don't know you are being manipulated. The people who have come out have told me. For example, one of our boys, he was coming with me for our programs. He got inspired in the 1998 riots. He threw stones at Muslim shops. Then got arrested. He is working in Corporation Bank. His uncle came and told me, "Sir, your boy, please save him." He just went to sea. So I told the SP, "Please let him go, because he just went to sea." He told me after 2 days, "I've got the video of your boy throwing stones. You want to see it?" I said, "No, I don't want." The same boy suffered for 2 years. He was put in Ballari jail. And now today, namaskara to Hindutva. I am giving you one of the examples. There are 100 examples we can give. My wife's junior was like that. He's a lawyer. He was with these people. Then he understood. We brought him out of it. So they will use you. Ultimately, it is the Sanatani thing that is thrust as superior on everybody through hook or crook. Please remember that. There is no place for tolerance. So please be careful. That's all I am telling you. Learn from my experience. By the way, that man Chandrasekhar Bhandari, who wrote the history, was a Sanchalak, is my mother's cousin. So are founders of ABVP and this HMS and all. So I come from credentials which are all on that side. And I was also thinking at one time, okay, we are Charvakas, there is some space, but there is absolutely none. Please remember that. There is no space for reason. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.